No, it's like the bridge to nowhere, actually. It's in Alaska.
Instead of a road to nowhere, you're on a bridge to nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like that Talking Head song. I love that song, by the way. We're not sure where Hunter is. Hopefully he'll join us at some point. But we
require more Vespian gas.
Oh, God, there you are. I didn't even... Oh, I'm sorry, Hunter.
Snuck up
Hunter,
on us.
everyone. He's a ninja. He's a podcast co-host ninja. He is Johnny Karate from Parks and Recreation. You do have the beard for it, man. Folks, we do have a guest this week. Where in Hawaii are you right now, Trevor?
Just behind Waikiki in Honolulu.
Oh, okay. So is that the Big Island?
No, Oahu.
Oh, okay. I like many public school students, I'm not super familiar with states that aren't mine. But joining
Well, this
us
game
from...
must have sold pretty well because it set him up in Hawaii.
Yeah, maybe. Joining us from Hawaii, the creator of the Starfleet series, and he also worked on games like Empire and Perfect General, way back in the awesome days. Trevor Sorensen. Welcome, Trevor.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Oh, it is a joy because I'm going to tell you what, Trevor, finding you was easier than finding other people who've worked on older games because, oh my God, I've been trying to track down people that worked on older games for the longest time. And you had a website with an email. I was like, boom, done. It was so easy.
And he answered.
Yes. And he answered. That was really nice.
That's because the warning had not reached him yet.
Well, I still get fan mail occasionally from around the world, even back from my Deacon's game in 1981 of Starfleet.
Oh my God. That's pretty awesome. So, folks, if you're not familiar with the Starfleet games, just a quick rundown. Back in the 1970s, there were a lot of Star Trek, quote unquote, tactical starship games that worked on like a grid, and you used degrees to move around. It was completely manual, but like back in the day, it was like amazing because like, oh my God, I'm on the bridge, I'm fighting Klingons. This is amazing, even though it's just a K because it's completely ASCII graphics.
I remember one that it was actually, there was not even a screen on the terminal. It was tractor fed paper, and they were playing Star Trek on that.
What?
So talk about burning a ream of paper trying to. But yes.
But yeah, so this game was a refinement. The first game was a refinement of those original Star Trek games. So Trevor, could you, for the folks who don't know, kind of take us through some of the history of how Starfleet came to be?
Okay, well, for those of you that haven't met me before, this is not a typical Hawaiian accent. I'm originally from Australia, although my accent has been Americanized over the decades.
Really?
But
it's also a small island in the ocean.
Yeah. Well, small population-wise. But anyway, I finished high school in Australia, and I came to the U.S. to go to university. Ended up at the University of Kansas, of all places. You know, often people ask me, how could someone who was a surfer in Australia in high school end up in Kansas, arriving in the middle of winter, by the way. And the only reason is because I had met a professor from the University of Kansas in aerospace engineering my last year of high school. And when I found out my father was being transferred to the U.S., he was my only contact with the university, and he arranged for me to go there. So I got a bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering, worked for 6 months in Dayton, Ohio, which was horrible, and as an aircraft structural engineer. Then I got laid off, so I went back to grad school at Kansas, working on Pioneer Venus. And while at grad school, I noticed some people on the terminal playing some sort of Star Trek game, and I was fascinated by it. And so I got and started playing it as well. And by the way, if I didn't have a terminal available, I would play it on one of those 300 board like teletype machines with the roll of yellow paper, and so each grid or update had to be printed out, Jim, just as you mentioned. And a little bit later, and I thought that this was really cool game. It was on a G635 computer, and I was unable to find the authors of it because there were some, I thought, improvements that could be made to it. And the department got a HP 9830 desktop computer that had a thermal printer and a 32-character LED display, and it used BASIC and had 4K of RAM. And so I played around. I thought, well, maybe I could write my own. So I wrote my own Starfleet game or Star Trek game called Starfleet Battles that would give you alerts on the LED display, but all the tactical displays and long-range displays and everything were printed out on the thermal printer. And so I was able to mimic the one on the GE computer pretty much. And then they doubled the RAM. I got up to 8K of RAM on it, and I was able to add quite a few more features to it. And this was about the time I got my master's degree. And for my doctors, I went out to NASA Ames to work on another part of Pioneer Venus. And I had access to a PDP 1140 there, and I converted the basic program into Fortran. And with that extra memory and capability, I just kept adding new features, more and more new features to it for the 2 or 3 years that I was out at NASA Ames. And then in 1980, I got a job down at the Johnson Space Center as a contractor, as a guidance and control engineer on the space shuttle. And in my spare time, I continued to work on this Fortran version of Starfleet. And then in 1981, I got a lot of my fellow engineers hooked on it. And 1981, submitted it to DECUS, the Deck Users Group, and they sent it out worldwide. And so after that point, I started to get a lot of mail concerning that particular game. And about this time, in 1977 or so, I think the Commodore PET came out and the Apple II came out, and these were very promising, but my program was written in Fortran, and none of those could handle it. And then finally, the IBM PC came out, and I thought, great, I got an IBM PC, and turns out the Fortran compiler was a hog. And so we ended up, some friends and I ended up converting it back to BASIC so that we could run it on the IBM PC. And we decided that we would try and market the game and some other games. And so 8 of us formed a partnership called Cygnus. And in 1983, we released the first Starfleet 1 game, which was in interpretive BASIC, which was really slow and everything. I think it was 1984 they came out with the BASIC compiler, so we were able to compile it and get it, which is the one that you probably played, Brian. And it continued to be a garage operation. We got several distributors, Babbage's and Egghead Software and some of the others interested in it. And we sold a few thousand of Starfleet 1, and we also started converting it over to the Atari the Apple II, eventually to the Macintosh, the Amiga, Atari ST, etc. And in 1986, I was contacted by Electronic Arts, and they really liked Starfleet 1. They thought it was a really good game, and they asked if we would be interested in becoming an affiliated label of theirs. And so they flew me out to the Bay Area, and I met with the president of EA, and we signed an agreement and became an affiliated label. At this time, I felt we had outgrown the partnership, so we incorporated. And something that almost nobody knows, the first name of our incorporation was Starfleet Headquarters. And
that's awesome.
And I decided, that was a little bit too limiting and confusing and stuff. And one of my friends said, it should be some sort of like an interstellar name, like maybe Interstellar Corporation. I thought, oh yeah, that's really cool. So we changed it to Interstellar Corporation. And, it was about that time, 86, 87, that EA came out with Starflight. And the company inside of Starflight was Interstellar Corporation, which was, purely coincidence.
Oh, I was wondering about that because I'm like, wait a minute, wait. Because I'm a
See,
Starflight
I always thought
nut,
there was
so.
a link to that, so I guess not.
Apparently not. Yeah, just coinkydink. That's amazing.
Yeah, by the time that EA picked us up, we had several games. We had a couple for the Commodore 64, Balacon Raider and Stinger. We had one called Quizam. I think we had just come out or just about to come out with Empire. And they went ahead and picked up most of our games. And I can remember, once we incorporated, they placed an order for something like about 30,000 games total, and which was an order of magnitude more than we had sold. So we rented a facility, got a shrink wrap machine, hired people, and I remember the first day semi-trailer from EA came and pulled up, and we just loaded it full of boxes of our games. And it was at that time I thought, wow, we've really made it to the big times. So.
That's fantastic. I got to admit, Starfleet, I think, was the second game I ever owned on a DOS computer. Starflight was the first. And then I think I saw Starfleet in a Radio Shack or a Babbage's. It was one of those two back in the day. And I was like, I have to have this. And yeah, it was very different than Starflight, because Starflight's combat. Did you ever play the Starflight at all?
I played some, not, just sort of to get an idea of what it was like, but I never really got into it.
That's fair. It's a huge game. But like their combat was very simple. It was like beep, beep, move, fire, move. But your combat was the complete like opposite, like purely tactical, like have to get your angles right and everything. Oh, yeah. And so I played the hell out of that. Now, I've always wondered this. How did you avoid any legal issues with Paramount?
Okay, well,
Good question.
Yeah, that is an excellent question. After we formed Cygnus and we were getting ready to release or market Starfleet 1, it was a Star Trek game. Yeah, with Klingons and Romulans and everything. And I contacted Paramount Pictures to get, see about getting a license or permission to do that. And a lawyer from Gulf Plus Western, Gulf and Western Corporation, who at the time I think owned Paramount or something, contacted me. And they said that unfortunately they had already licensed the IBM computer games to another company. It might have been Interplay or someone. I don't know who. I forget who it was, but they'd already licensed it.
I think it might have been Simon & Schuster, because they were doing a lot of the text adventures at the time.
It might have been. But anyway, so I said, okay, well, we will go ahead and change it. We'll put it in a different universe, but there are still some common terms like Starfleet, photon torpedoes, and stuff like that we'd like to keep, and they told us that was okay, just as long as we diverse it. And divorce it from the Star Trek world, and so that's what we did, and we didn't have any problems with that until the 1990s, but that's a different story.
Wait, what happened in the 90s? I didn't hear about this. What happened?
Well, I was living in 1990. We moved to Alexandria, Virginia, and I worked as a contractor at Naval Research Lab operating a Star Wars satellite. And I was working on the version 1.5 of Starfleet 2 at that time. 1.5B, I think, actually came out in 1991. And my wife was working as like a paralegal for a trademark and copyright firm in Washington, D.C., one of the big ones. And there was one of my former partners had taken my Starfleet design document and copyrighted it under his name. And when we were coming out with Star Legions, I got a letter from his attorney in Houston telling us that we need to cease and desist because his client owned all the property rights to the Starfleet and Starfleet universe. And anyway, I hired my wife's firm, and they basically blew the firm in Houston out of the water, and it turns out that he had filed the copyright illegally, and I had the original document under my name and everything like that. And
epic fail on his part.
Nice.
And anyway, but initially I said when it wasn't certain what the situation was. Well, see, it came about because Starfleet 1, I copyrighted it under the name of Interstel Corporation instead of my own name. And when I got out of Interstel, I sold my shares of Interstel to a guy that used to be one of our managers. And then he sold the rights to Starfleet 1 or that to this former friend of mine or colleague of mine. And so he claimed that he had all the rights to Starfleet. And so it was a little bit murky. Starfleet 2, I copyrighted in my own name. So we decided to play it safe and changed. And it was originally called Legions of Krella, was Star Legions. And we had, we'd already put an ad in Computer Gaming World or something for Legions of Krella. And that's where my friend found out about it. And so we went ahead and decided to change it to Star Legions. And in the ad and stuff, we sort of were ambiguous about its connection to the Starfleet series. But then, once we won the legal battle, we sort of liked the name Star Legion, so we just kept it.
I'll be honest, I wasn't aware of the connection until I started doing the research for this show. So back in the day when I saw it on the shelves, I'm like, I don't know what this is. I'm sorry. Like I didn't recognize anything. So I was like, okay, I don't know.
Hunter, I didn't really finish answering your question.
I'm sorry.
And no, that's okay. I mean, that was a good comment to put right there. But with the at the time, I said, okay, I went ahead and copyrighted the Starfleet series document under my name then, and I got a notice from the Copyright Office that it superseded that previous one because we proved evidence that was a false copyright. And so everything was clear for me to have ownership of the Starfleet series. And I thought, well, we better go ahead and register the trademark for Starfleet. And so I applied for a registration of Starfleet and Starfleet Command, I think, for and they publish it in a register, and there's a period of 2 or 3 months or something where it's open for challenge or comment. And I hadn't heard anything, and then all of a sudden I got a letter from Paramount Pictures challenging my copyright registration application. And the reason that they did, well, I told them that I had permission from Paramount Pictures to use that name, although that law firm was no longer associated with them, and they basically didn't recognize that. But they had Starfleet Academy computer game about to come out, and they didn't want any legal problems with us if we had it registered. Starfleet did. And I consulted my lawyer, and they said, well, it's going to cost a lot of money to battle Paramount. And so I graciously bowed down and said, I'm going to withdraw my application for registering Starfleet. So, after that, there was no problem.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is nuts.
I do have another question for you real quick. To kind of, it's a little off topic, but I want to go back to something you said, kind of offhandedly. So, how long did you work with the Star Wars satellites?
Okay, in 1990, well, I got my doctorate working at NASA Ames in May 1979, and I was burned out. I had taken one day off, I think it was New Year's Day or something, in the previous 3 months, and I was averaging 100 hours a week working on my doctoral dissertation, and I was completely burned out. There was no way I wanted to go work right away. So in June 79, I packed up and went to Europe and went hitchhiking for 6 months around Europe and the Middle East. And by the time I was done with that, I was ready to come back and earn money and get regular meals and things like that. And in February 1980, I let's see. I went down. I got the job with down in Houston as a working on the space shuttle, which I had until 1987. I went over to Interstel full time to run the company and work on Starfleet 2, and then with Starfleet. Well, there were some problems with the company and a legal takeover bid and stuff, hostile takeover bid and that. And so in 1990, I applied for different places, and I got a job with Bendix Field Engineering in Alexandria, Virginia, as a contractor Naval Research Lab. And they were operating the satellite called LACE. Low power atmospheric compensation experiment, but they had an ultraviolet plume instrument on it, and I was hired as the observations manager for that satellite. And what we did was track rockets, like large sounding rockets and ICBMs that were fired, and we would track and try and image their plumes using ultraviolet rather than infrared instruments. And one of the cool things was that one of the problems with ultraviolet is that you have the ozone layer that filters out most of the ultraviolet, and especially in the daytime. And so when we tracked ICBM launch from Vandenberg, in order to get the camera on target, we had to use a joystick. So we had real-time joystick control of our camera on the satellite tracking ICBM launch. And so I did that for a couple years, and then I was the lunar mission manager for the Clementine mission to the moon in 1994, and then worked on a couple other satellite projects after that.
Well, that's really crazy, man. Like, not only did you like work on real space stuff, but you actually made space games. It's like it's almost like the full circle of being awesome, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll let you in on a little secret that isn't in my history that I sent you, Brian.
Is this where you talk about the UFOs?
Well, there is a story.
Please tell us.
There is a story behind that too. When Clementine was orbiting the moon, we took nearly 2 million pictures, digital pictures of the moon, and every one of them was beamed back and shown on the display in our operations center. And I got onto some chat lines like CompuServe and a couple other. They had some forums, and there were people claiming that Clementine had discovered alien structures on the moon, and we were covering up and stuff. And so I had fun.
And they were in before Hoagland.
Yeah. And I had fun getting online and saying, listen, I was in charge of the lunar operations of Clementine, and we did not see anything like that. I mean, we saw some pretty cool looking craters and stuff, but we did not see any structures like that.
So where is the monolith exactly? Like,
no, I love this stuff, because Brian and I had an opportunity, and unfortunately he couldn't make it to the dinner, but we were going to sit down to dinner with Buzz Aldrin one night, and he had a family thing, so he had to kind of miss it. But I was telling Brian, it was just like, when he gets here, just make sure you got your phone out, because I'm going to ask him about UFOs and he's going to punch me, and I want that on the internet.
So, Trevor, we have a question from the chat about the Duga radar. It's apparently an over-the-horizon Russian radar system. Have you ever heard of that?
I've heard about it, but I don't know anything about that. And I'm not stonewalling or anything. I really don't know anything about it.
No, of course. I was just relaying a question. Yeah, I've never heard of it either until just now. But it looks kind of fascinating.
But before I got sidetracked on UFOs and that, I was telling you the little secret that no one knows, is that when my 8 partners and I, all of whom were NASA and McDonnell Douglas engineers down in Houston, when we formed Cygnus, the purpose for it was to write and sell a space shuttle simulator. I mean, we worked on the space shuttle, and the actually in Starfleet, the master alarm is the same alarm that you hear on the space shuttle. And we wrote we actually had a simulator that we were developing, but then we thought, well, Starfleet's almost ready to go, so we can generate some money with that while we finish off the simulator. Well, Starfleet took off and had a life of its own, and we never did finish the space shuttle simulator.
Oh my God, that's amazing!
But they've done it for you. I'll send you.
Yeah, it has been done since then.
Now, I have to ask about Starfleet 2. That's what's on the video right now, if folks haven't seen one. That game was amazingly ambitious, especially for its time, because you had planetary landings, you had cargo transfers between ships, you had random generated galaxies and systems with multiple planets. So how did you go from this like kind of more focused tactical game, which was Starfleet 1, to this expansive, like universe conquering, planetary exploding, because you could blow up planets in Starfleet 2, you guys. You totally could. How'd you go from Starfleet 1 to this much, much bigger thing that was Starfleet 2?
Well, when I was working on the Fortran version of Starfleet, and we had basically it was Starfleet 1 with some extras added, like we had the Starfleet newspaper and the logs, auto logs and stuff. Sorry, that was my phone.
Speaking of blowing up planets,
just a sec. I'm going to mute you for just a moment.
That's no problem, folks.
Emperor's calling.
Yeah, the Emperor's calling. No, folks.
On the phone.
He has to pick up.
We need to get that.
Palpatine's behind it all.
That project. This is the secret project that we didn't know.
We have to. He has to pick up his daughters in a little bit.
Death Star.
Yeah.
So
luckily none of us are both in.
Yeah, he has to pick up his daughters from the Death Star. That's exactly what's happening.
Sorry about that.
That's fine.
But anyway, we had the Starfleet, and which was simplified in order to put it on the IBM PC. But while I was, I got to the point where I'd been working on the space shuttle software, the simulators, the design software for space shuttle, which was written in Fortran. Not the flight software, the design software. And I noticed how they did things in the code, which made more sense than the spaghetti code I had just sort of accumulated with Starfleet 1. So I rewrote it, and there were things that I wanted to add in, like planets and different ship types and landing parties and things like that. So I added these other features in, and I called it the X version. And at the time that we went full bore on the IBM TC, the X version was very close to being finished. And as a matter of fact, the X version is very close to Starfleet Deluxe that we have out right now. But that when I came time for I designed the Starfleet series, and Starfleet 2 was going to be looking at it from the Krellin side, the enemy side. And I thought of all the things I really wanted to see in the game, and I taught myself C and assembly language, and I thought that with those I could put a lot more into it than with the Fortran that I was using before, and that is the case. So it just evolved, and I just wanted to put in all the things I wanted to see in the game with the limitations of the text graphics. And we did have an Amiga version that was under development of Starfleet 2. And also a Commodore 64 version or Commodore 128 version, but neither one of those were completed. But I wanted, I hated games that were you played it once and that was it. I wanted a game that that would be you could play it again and enjoy it, and it would be different. So I created the rules under which a universe would be created, but then it would randomly create within those rules. And actually, one of the things you probably don't realize is that the universe goes on in Starfleet 2 whether you participated in it or not. I mean, really? Ships travel between planets, and the war will be fought between the Alliance and the Krellins. And it's just that that your side probably will not win without your participation, and also like I designed the planetary invasion module for it because I thought that would be a really cool thing to do, and my colleague Mark Baldwin actually did the programming for that and the boarding. I designed them, and he actually did the programming. And another friend of mine, an engineer at NASA, did the fractal generator to design the planets. And so, I just and because I quit my job at McDonnell Douglas so I could work and also the running of the company of Interstel, so that I could work on the programming full time. And the actual release in '89 was 2 years late. It was supposed to come out in '87, but it was just such an ambitious project. I just couldn't get it done in time.
Because I'll be honest, there are space games today that can't do what this game does in terms of just the sheer breadth of features this thing has. And I think
I think modern games are kind of burdened by presentation,
right?
And with this, it's all ASCII, so
which I think works for this. It kind of has that it has that 80s sci-fi feel to it that you're watching. You could watch like an 80s sci-fi movie, and they could have Starfleet 2 on the screen, and you would totally buy it. It
honestly,
works.
a guy that I think you would really enjoy talking to is Mike Giuliano. Because he is working on a simulation of a ship where he actually he is simulating the wire buses that connect the different panels together. And so it's like you have to go through like a 10-minute startup sequence to just warm the engines on the thing, and it's amazing the level of integration between the systems on the ship that he simulates all this stuff.
Now, with Starfleet 2, one of the reasons it was probably delayed a little bit is I designed and wrote a program called Creator, which is written in assembly language, and that's how I taught myself assembly language. It's like a paint program for ASCII. And I designed all my screens in Starfleet 2 using this Creator program, and it would generate the code and things like that I needed. And it was actually a pretty clever little program, but I
you make it sound so simple.
Well, it's like back then, if you wanted the tool, you better make it because it didn't exist already.
Yeah,
I've made a few of those.
I didn't want to distract myself with learning all the graphics type things. I was more interested in the essence, the actual gameplay itself.
Now, Starfleet 1 lives on because you can get it on, I believe, iOS and Android now. It's Starfleet Deluxe, if I'm remembering correctly, right? That's what you can get on mobile platforms today?
Yeah, we actually, my friend Brett Keaton, who did the Commodore 64 and the Atari, was it the Atari ST versions of Starfleet 1. He, in the 90s, wanted to do an updated version of Starfleet 1 using Windows, and we called it Starfleet SF Win for Windows. And I decided that, well, yeah, that'd be really cool, but why don't we go ahead and just add a few more of those extra features? It's the same basic gameplay, but we can add other ship types and planets and boarding parties and things like that. So we basically took the X version, and I gave him all my design notes and everything from the X version and the Fortran code and stuff, and he wrote the Starfleet Deluxe for Windows. And then that was in beta stage in September 2002, and when he committed suicide. And so, and he destroyed his hard drive, and so we lost the source code for it, which was a real tragedy. I mean, not for the source code, but really for my friend that died. And but the funny thing is, we'd given it out to some play testers, and more than one of them has completed the game, even in the beta version. They've made it all the way through to Admiral Emeritus. But then in 2011, I was contacted by this guy called Kevin Fightmaster, who is a programmer in the DC area, and he wanted to do an Android version of Starfleet 1. And I said, well, let's look at Starfleet Deluxe. And so He actually went and we completed it a couple years ago, and it's available through Play Store, Google Play Store now.
And it works great.
What?
It works great. I've been playing it. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty much bug free as far as I can tell. I have done Admiral Emeritus on it a couple times. It keeps track of people that play it, so you can upload your service record and you can see how other people are doing, which is one of the features we had back in the original Starfleet. And but unfortunately, we've only sold a few hundred of them, and it hasn't. We'd love to do a Starfleet 2 Deluxe.
That's what I was just about to ask about that, because I would love.
Yeah, we definitely need to get a link to the Starfleet 1 Deluxe up on the site, because I had not heard that it existed. So
I think
it's an awareness thing.
Yeah, I just learned about it recently.
Ever since I had to switch over to iOS for my work phone, I've had troubles finding all of my favorite Android apps that are not there anymore. So I just had to dig out my NVIDIA Shield, which is all Android, so I can get it.
Yay! Nice.
So hey, I wanted to just call attention to we had a hard stop at a quarter after.
Right.
It's about 2 minutes from now. We don't want to make him late.
We can go a little bit longer than that.
Okay. Well, I do have one question from the chat, and then I wanted to ask you about Star Legions. So, some Floridan in the chat wants to know: do you still play games? Have you played games recently? Do you still play games at all? Are you still involved with games at all?
My favorite games that I have played in recent times. I'm not really playing any right now other than a bit of Starfleet Deluxe, but in recent years I really enjoyed the Starfleet Command series. The first one had some major problems. 2 and 3 I thought were much better, although 3 lost a couple things I think that they did better on Starfleet Command 2. But I really enjoyed it. I completed Starfleet Command 2, I think it was. And that goes back to the old original Starfleet battles on the paper and the counters and stuff back in the 80s, like 70s and 80s.
Yeah, it's one of our friends actually worked on that game and is still active in that. I was talking to him. I asked Ken if he wanted to jump in here. And but he's actually printing stuff out for a convention that he's going to, because he's got his own space game that's an offshoot of that now.
It's kind of awesome that you played the Starfleet Command games, and I agree the second one is pretty much the best one in the series.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I used to play on the League back in the day.
And
love that game.
For a tactical combat, for the different types of ships and weapons and things like that, it is excellent, and I really enjoy it, and the graphics are pretty good and stuff. And the other game that I've sort of enjoyed playing quite a bit is the Caesar 3 in particular.
Yes.
I love that game.
Oh,
Caesar 4 was not as good. Caesar 3, I completed that one all to the way to the end, and I really like that.
Yeah, Caesar 2 is probably one of my first city builders. I still get plebs are needed in my head every now and again.
Yeah.
If we got a minute to talk about it, I wanted to ask about Perfect General and Empire.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Because Empire was, I think, the first computer war game I ever played. And that was pretty awesome. So I think it was the deluxe version. So it was like a Windows compatible version, not the DOS one.
Do you want my involvement in Empire?
Yeah, you were like QA on that or something, weren't you? Publisher.
Well, what happened is when I was at NASA Ames working on Starfleet, there was another very popular game called Empire that was on the deck computers, on the VAX and the PDP-11 70s and stuff, and it was so addictive. I mean, I just Starfleet, I think, would have been further along if I hadn't gotten hooked on Empire. And so when we started up our company, Cygnus, and I can't remember the exact time frame, whether it was, I think it was when it was still Cygnus, maybe when it, I know, there was a magazine, might have been Computer Gaming World or one of those, that came out with a survey of all the space type games or games that were available for the PC, and our Starfleet 1 was one of them, and that was when ours first came out. And there were a couple of others, EGA Trek and of some others, and one of them they listed was Empire, and Walter Bright was the developer of Empire, and he had was marketing a PC version in just text graphics like it was on the PDP-11. And I thought, oh, great. And I contacted him and arranged to license Empire to sell it through my company. And Mark Baldwin, who I mentioned previously, was my co-author on Starfleet 2. He took Empire and made it into the graphics mode on the PC, and also on the I know Atari 8-bit and Atari ST, I think, and we, by this time, we were affiliate label with Electronic Arts, and so they picked it up, and it actually outsold Starfleet 1 and was Computer Gaming World's Game of the Year for 1988. And one of the funny things is, though, that Starfleet 1 was a success, and we brought in this new game, and we thought that this was a mistake, but we thought, well, to help this game get started, let's tie it into the Starfleet universe. So we did a background story on it and stuff which tied it into the Starfleet universe, and it didn't need it. And right now I regret that we did that. But Walter Bright, though, was particularly obsessed, or his main project was developing a C compiler, and the Empire was sort of a sideline which we carried for him. Now, when Interstel broke up in the early 90s, Mark Baldwin took Empire along with Walter Bright's permission, and did Empire Deluxe, which added in features that we had wanted to do for Empire, like aircraft could fly over pieces and things like that. And Mark also, about the same time, developed Perfect General, which was published by QQP, I believe.
Yeah, I think Perfect General is not only a great introductory strategy game, but probably one of the best light tactical armor games that's ever been.
Yeah, I played Perfect General back in when it first came out, and a few years ago I dug it out and I played it through again, and I love Perfect General. I think it's a great, fun tactical game. And Mark Baldwin, for Empire Deluxe, there was a special edition, like a VIP edition or something, where he got several game developers, including myself, to set up particular scenarios for Empire Deluxe that people could buy and play the ones, and I designed one of them. It was actually one of the good things back in the 80s and early 90s, being a developer, because I'd go to the Consumer Electronics Show, and I became friends with other developers and the owners of like New World Computing and Sid Meier and then other people. I became friends with them, and we'd give each other games, that we'd swap games. And so I've got a really large collection of mostly sci-fi and wargaming and fantasy games from that particular era.
Oh man, and that was an amazing, amazing era. I mean, that's when Civilization came out, and that's when...
Yeah, that was when all the innovation happened, because it was a greenfield. Nobody had made anything. And then, it's like when somebody made like Perfect General, because nobody had done a tank war game that was hex-based like that yet. And then, of course, Gary Grigsby owes all his money to that. But, it's the innovation that could happen then. And then we look at the games that are happening now. Like whenever I look at StarCraft or Total Annihilation or, any of those games, I trace that right back to Empire. Because while Empire was turn-based, yeah, exactly. While Empire was turn-based, they took that same formula, spun it into real time because computers could handle it then. And, so yeah, it's obviously, the parentage of everything that's come since.
One more thing I'd like to sort of share with you is how I almost became a millionaire with the Starfleet series, and that is in the early '90s when I had left Interstel. We formed a computer development company called Supernova Creations, and that's where Star Legions was developed and then published by Minecraft. I was contacted by Buena Vista Software, in other words, the Disney folks. And a couple of the managers there had fallen in love with the Starfleet series, and they asked to meet me at Consumer Electronics Show. Now, they had rented an apartment for the week or so, and I went and visited them, and we talked. And they wanted to pick up the Starfleet series under the Buena Vista label and you basically develop it. And of course, I was more than thrilled to do this. And they put together a contract, which in the end would have been worth millions of dollars. But they put together a contract. And they're in contact with me, and they were about to send me a copy of the contract to review, and then we could sign it. And then all of a sudden, I got a phone call that they were going to have to drop the Starfleet idea. The Disney board of directors had a meeting, and they had decided that they were going to limit their software to Disney properties only. And so, if they'd had the board of directors meeting like a week or a month later, then we would have had this deal signed, and Disney would have been producing the Starfleet series. But, oh well.
Someday we'll tell you the story about Treasure Planet and Disney. We got a friend that also worked on a Disney product, and it was just they gave him no marketing budget. It was like they poured all this effort into the game, and then Disney chose to forget that it existed. Yeah. And it's actually a really great game too. It's kind of tragic that they didn't let anybody know that it existed.
So let's talk about the last game, Star Legions. How did that come to pass? Because that's basically the ground invasion portion of Starfleet 2 as its own game.
Well, Star Legions is basically, in Starfleet 2, there was a game within a game. I mean, it switched over to graphics mode instead of text mode, and was a whole game within itself. And when we formed this company, Supernova Creations, I really wanted to expand on that, and the Minecraft that we were talking with really liked the idea of having this planetary invasion game. So we went ahead and it was mostly Brett Keaton and his partner and I developed it, formed it into a standalone game that was still within the Starfleet universe and everything, and it was in graphics mode and everything like that. And I personally love Star Legions. I think it's a great game, and you know there are a few things that we could have done better, but one of the problems when you're associated with a large company like Electronic Arts, they have deadlines. They want this out in time for the Christmas market. And so we had to ship it before we were quite ready for it.
It's a great way to kill games, EA.
Yeah. And as a result, it went out and had some fatal bugs in it, and which is why we had to develop a couple patches. But with the patches, you know, they it's a really good and really playable game. So,
well,
and I'd actually be interested in doing Star Legions Deluxe sometime too.
Well, you did send a copy, so I'm looking forward to trying it because I apologize, I completely missed it the first time around. I think it's because I also wasn't into ground-based strategy games at the time. It was all spaceships or nothing.
Well, we did have spaceships in orbit that would do planetary bombardments, and on the ground they had PDPs, planetary defense phases, that would shoot up at your ships, and it was a lot like Starship Troopers. I mean, the concept of those big troop ships that would drop ships down and invade is very similar to that.
Kind of reminds me of Emperor of the Fading Suns, which is a favorite around here.
A little bit, yeah. That's another.
Although was it before that, or did
it was
did
before
it come
that?
after?
It was about 3 years before that.
It came out in '92, I believe.
Oh,
The
4
Star
years.
Legions.
Yeah, 4 years before Emperor of the Fading Suns. So you did all this stuff before other people did all this stuff. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think everybody owes you royalties now or something.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you did a Battle Cruiser 3000 game 7 years before there was an actual Battle Cruiser 3000 game. Holy crap. So if folks want to play either of these, I mean, they can get Starfleet Deluxe on the Android store. But is there a place they can find Starfleet 2 or Star Legions legally? I don't think there is.
Yeah, what is the old dog? There are a couple of sites that specialize.
Oh yeah, the Underdogs.
Underdog, that's it.
Yeah.
You can download, and I know a lot of people have downloaded Starfleet 1 and 2, and that's perfect. No one really owns those. I mean, you know, I own the rights to them, but you know, they aren't available for sale anywhere, so I have no problems with people downloading them.
All right, I'll definitely link to them then, because I think especially Starfleet 2 is a game people need to play to see not only how ambitious it was, but just even in today's age. You could release this on Steam today as like a space conquering roguelike, basically, and it would sell on Steam today, just like this, with ASCII graphics, because that would be charming. That would be retro.
Yeah, the retro thing is definitely back. So,
Right?
And bell-bottom jeans and everything came with it.
Yeah, you could put this on Steam, and it would. If you put this on Steam for $4 to $7, you'd sell a buttload of them. I'm not even kidding. You should totally do that. I'd buy it.
How do you manage to do something like that?
I don't know. That's not my forte. But seriously.
But it's mine. I'll clue you.
Okay. If you can send me any info on that, I'll look into it, because
Oh, absolutely.
you know,
Costs $100.
I'll tell you right now, Starfleet 1 sold, you know, all versions sold about 100,000 games, which wasn't too bad for back in those days. Starfleet 2 only sold 25,000 because it was in 3 months, because it was pulled off the market due to the fatal bugs. Again, it was the Christmas rush that got us on that, and it was never released or sold again. Only the patches were available through Interstel. And I think Star Legions probably ended up selling about 25,000 or something as well. They were relatively small sellers, but I would love for people to have the chance to play it, because my real pride and joy is Starfleet 2. That's the one I'm probably most proud of, because I guess a lot of people don't really realize what actually it can do and what's in it.
It does so much. You could send away teams to different planets, and they'll build a base, and then they could monitor that space station, that space system, and then if there are enemy ships that go through that system, they'll tell you about it, and you can beam down supplies, and you can beam over boarding part. It's crazy what you can do with that game.
And you have escort destroyers, and you can set different formations and send them on different missions and stuff to help you, and you can tow enemy ships and deliver them into your star forts, and yeah.
This needs to hit GOG and Steam. This needs to hit GOG and Steam for $5.99. People would buy it. I'm not even kidding you. People would buy it. I would buy it. I would buy it on both Steam and GOG. Absolutely.
Because he's crazy.
We've hit the hour mark, and I really do have to go pick my daughters up, or they'll give me hell. So.
Yeah, family first. So, Trevor, thank you so much for taking the time to give us this amazing history lesson, not only in the Starfleet series, but gaming in general, really, back in the day. A lot of people forget, gaming's humble beginnings, so it's really great to be reminded of that.
So when you said you were working on the satellites and the space shuttle and stuff, were you actually doing the assembler code for the flight systems and that, or what?
No, when I was a guidance and control engineer, I was running software to determine what would happen if the shuttle lost main engines on ascent liftoff. I was an assistant to the flight directors. I wrote a paper on rendezvous techniques and things like that. After I left the flight director's office, I became a software engineering manager, and my team's job was to basically document the ascent design system. It was all written in Fortran, and the Space Vehicle Dynamic Simulator, which was their on-orbit simulator. It had been written but hadn't been documented very well, and so our job was to go back into the code and document it.
Oh, the guy that I sit next to at work is Greg Boyd's his name, and he wrote missile guidance stuff for the military back in the same time frame. So I didn't know if maybe you guys have run into each other or something, but anyways, all right. Well, we'll let you get.
All right. Well, you can go if you want, man. We got some housekeeping stuff to do to wrap up.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot. I've really enjoyed it, and I actually have several more stories, but I just ran out of time. We'll have to bring you back.
We'll bring you back. We'll bring you back, dude.
We'll bring you back once the Starfleet games hit Steam. We'll bring you back because we're gonna.
I haven't told you about the when I was working at NASA Ames, the time that we broke into Stanford University in order to play their real-time Trek game, but
tell us that story next time you're on.
We have to have you back. I don't know when, but we're gonna have you back.
Mission.
It was cool.
Well, thank you so much, Trevor.
Okay,
all right,
bye-bye.
awesome.
Bye. All right.
That was amazing.
That was cool. Why don't we do this every week?
I learned so much. That wasn't just an interview. That was a history lesson, you guys.
Yeah.
That was a treatise. That was an essay on
Floridon. Next time we'll pressure him a little bit more about the aliens. So
yeah.
Yeah.
It's never aliens.
Yeah, he didn't talk about the aliens, which is sad.
Well, you're not allowed to, right? It'll come out someday.
Not. So, folks, you can get Starfleet, the original, on Android if you want. It's called Starfleet Deluxe. It's what, $2.99, $3.99, something like that. Even though the original game was very text, keyboard heavy, they've modified it so it works great on a screen. I've been playing it. It's a very satisfying tactical starship experience. Seriously. It's one of the best of its type. Not even kidding. Starfleet 2, I'm going to have links to this in the show notes and everything, but Starfleet 2, apparently now we're just going to link to places you can download it.
Awesome.
Yeah,
what were those links for Killer Bees that you sent in the middle of the thing?
Dude, I don't know if you noticed, they sell Empire Deluxe and Perfect General.
Oh, they sell it? I thought it was just a straight down.
No, they sell it.
Oh,
they
interesting.
I know. So, yeah, folks, you guys should check out especially Starfleet 2 because this game is ambitious as fuck. And it's
how did they? Oh man, you blew it. We had an F-bomb free podcast until that moment.
Hey, you know what? I am getting better. I'm getting better. Give me that at least. That was the only F-bomb.
You behaved while he was here.
Well,
you're good.
He's such a great guy. I could not.
I know, right?
He's like, sit down. I'm going to tell you a story. Okay. Just
Grandpa, can you tell us about the aliens?
You drop an F-bomb, he'd take off his belt and tan you.
Oh, my God. So, folks, for Thursday, I don't know if we're going to stream. Hunter wants to do the ship. I don't own it. I don't know if I want to buy it. It doesn't look like my kind of game. I'm not sure.
If we're going to do the ship, here's the deal. We need at least 4. 4 is the absolute minimum to play that game and actually enjoy it.
I wish it had bots.
If we could play with it more than 4, I would actually be like more excited. But this is going to be something that we should probably plan, not just be like, "Hey, we're randomly just going to do this."
Yeah,
game.
let's plan it.
We should get at least 4, maybe 8 people in.
Because I'll be honest, let's talk real quick about what we've been playing. I kind of want to roll into it Thursday a bit. Hunter, what have you been playing lately?
You know the answer to this question.
No. Well, I might, but the audience doesn't.
I've been playing an obnoxious amount of EVE Online.
That's like EverQuest in space, right?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. We've anybody's welcome to join us. I've actually we've got Cloud Vault's been playing with us a little bit. I've got some of my old buddies that are back on it again, like Lance Criminal and Samagios. Those guys are back in. We've also got another community that we've been kind of linking up with and doing some stuff, which is the XP Gamers. Like we've been playing with some of their community. So I have a Citadel up in a system for everybody to use, which is pretty nice. But anybody from the Space Game Junkie community is welcome to join us. We're having lots of fun. We've been doing some wormhole stuff. We've been doing a lot of PvE stuff, and we're getting ready to go start doing some low-sec roaming games in the next couple of weeks. So should be a good time.
Well, I'm definitely going to jump back in once they unveil the alpha clones.
Yes, November is when the alpha clones come out.
That's exciting.
And you know what's better than Eve? Elite.
And Elite just had the 2.2 beta came out today.
Yep, 2.2 today.
And
so I'm installing it even now.
So Elite, right? Like, what can you actually do in Elite?
Well, now they have passenger missions, and there are different types of passengers. Like apparently there are terrorist passengers and VIP passengers and business passengers. And if you get
like an asshole, can you just push him out the airlock?
He can actually use an escape pod to leave.
Does Elite have male exotic dancers? Because Eve does.
No.
And that appeals to you? Why?
Because it's a thing and it's real and it's in a game, and I find that funny. It's not that I need it. It's just that occasionally when you go and fight NPCs, like you go and loot one of them, and it's just like, here's 10 male exotic dancers, and I'm like, what? All right, that's a thing.
As a former Chippendale, I find that offensive.
I don't believe you.
Oh.
Jones chipping in.
Oh man.
Yeah, she's chipping the Dale. What?
Yikes. But no, I've been playing a lot of Elite, or not Elite, but EVE Online lately, and that's been kind of it mostly since over the last couple weeks.
What about you, Jim?
I've been playing a lot of Ark because the Scorched Earth expansion came out, and I set it up on my server, and I kind of did a little bit of cheat mode stuff so that we weren't completely miserable in there, because you're supposed to be like high level characters and then you transition over, but we started just like newbies in there. So it was like die from heat stroke every 5 minutes, not even kidding. And so I got a little bit of air conditioning going and a roof over our heads, and then we've been playing it fairly legit after that. Figured out how to do some architecture, getting a giant ramp because ramp building is nutty stupid in this thing. I prefer like Space Engineers or games that build like that where it makes sense. This thing is just it's so weird about how things line up and whatnot. So it's like if I go into build mode, it's like I turn the cheats on and then it's just like, okay, I'm gonna just like lay this thing out and see if it works or what. Because like I end up tearing the building down about 10 times, and if I had to actually build all that crap by hand, it would be madness. I'd be throwing my keyboard across the room. But we're having fun, so it's decent.
So you guys might be surprised to hear what I've been playing a lot of lately.
I know what you've been playing, but tell us.
Homefront: The Revolution.
Yep.
Really?
How you liking it? How you liking it?
So did you play it on
it
was the demo-y thing?
No, he's got it.
No, I bought it.
Is this
Amazon.
the first Homefront or the second?
No, this is the new
second.
one.
This is the second
Oh, okay.
one. Where North Koreans have taken over Philadelphia, which my hometown.
Did you play the first one?
No, I never played the first one. I heard it wasn't very
You should
good.
play the first one. It was actually okay.
Really?
After they patched the shit out of it, but yeah.
Yes, after they patched. Well, and that's the deal with
apparently
this one too.
Apparently that's the second one as well. But I love open world
you should
games.
Try the co-op multiplayer.
Oh.
Yeah, the co-op multiplayer is actually quite good in there.
On the first
played
one?
That.
The first one or the second one?
No, the second one.
That's what I've heard.
I've heard it's really good. And then your character kind of levels up and stuff. But it'll be like, okay, we have to go here and plant explosives and blow this thing up. And then when the military is distracted because they're all going to run over there, then we're going to run over here and steal this convoy. So it's objective stuff, and the team has to work together. And because if anybody gets stupid, you all get dead. Dan and I played it. I don't know. We put a good 6 hours into it. One of the that Saturday when it was free. It was decent. I couldn't see buying it just for the co-op, but the story was damn good.
I'm enjoying the story. What I love about it is that the map is so dynamic. Like you'll be running around, like there's a mission 500 clicks away, but there's a North Korean stronghold right here that I could just take out. And the snipe. So go ahead.
Did you see that miniseries that's on TV called The Colony?
It's not a miniseries though.
Well, not a miniseries. It's a series. I guess it's going a second season.
Yeah, it's Colony. Season 2 starts sometime early next year, I think.
Okay, so if you take Homefront and just add aliens on top, right? Like
it's Colony,
aliens you don't see, right? It's that because it was over in about 5 minutes. We lost, and then they've taken other humans and basically recruited the humans to be their middlemen. Right, so they've got this, but what's amazing about it is if you look at the armor. I don't know about in Homefront Revolution, but in the first Homefront, the armor.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, it's the alien dudes from the colony. They look identical.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's because they got the red hats or whatever. I guess. It's
the
like the armor and yeah.
Yeah, well, and they also another thing that's reminiscent of that is the elites in XCOM 2, the soldier dudes, they're captains that run around. Those guys kind of look like that too. So maybe that's just a common thing. Like aliens always have like red armored stormtroopers or something.
Well, it's kind of like if you were to take the Homefront game and Half-Life and cross them over, right? Because Half-Life also Half-Life they had the Combine soldiers who are actually like human converted people or whatever.
It gives me that vibe too. It really feels, especially the first game, it feels like you're running around City 17. And honestly, somebody should do that for a Half-Life mod. Just have like we're resistance fighters in City 17, right? We don't need any Gordon Freeman here. With no gravity gun, none of that shit. Just head crabs and resistance missions.
Yep, I'd play a mod of that.
But anyway, guys, seriously, Homefront. I'm telling you, it's like there's a mission 500 clicks away, but there's all this stuff going on. I gotta save these guys, and there's a.
So it's total open world now. Huh?
It's total open world. It reminds me of Infamous. I don't know if you've played the Infamous games, but it reminds me of Infamous in that you're slowly taking over a map bit by bit from the bad guys. Like, because there are zones, and like you start off in a red zone, and that's like shoot on sight. But you could take certain strongholds back and slowly turn it into like a green zone, which is what I've been doing. So like there are story missions, but I've only done like one of or two of them. I've been spending most of my time like, hey, I want that plant over there for our side. Oh, I've got a new scope on my rifle. Okay, headshot.
One of the things that you and I talked about doing, Brian, was doing a side-by-side comparison with Toxic and Unreal Tournament and giving those a comparison. So we should try one of those on a Thursday night.
Yeah, speaking of Toxic, so the game's free to play now, and I went on, and the servers are surprisingly dead, even with free to play. So I guess it's like Unreal is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. It's kind of hard to get attention around that.
The problem with Unreal, though, is it's like a third-party application that you have to download just to get it.
Yeah. It was a bit weird.
But I like Toxic. It's cool. I go in. I played against bots because there was just no humans to play. But even the bots are good. Like Unreal bots were the best bots. And these guys aren't too shabby.
Unreal bots are hard as shit sometimes.
Yeah, I guess the new patch is going to put all the vehicles in, which is going to be great. Because I want something that's like, honestly, with Toxic, I think what they ought to do is don't clone Unreal, clone Halo. Because you're damn near there. Right, like just put some warthogs and stuff in, and just make it Halo, and you'll get all those people that so desperately wish that they could play Halo. So speaking of Halo, I installed Forge rather, on my machine. Right,
is that a Halo game?
It's actually, if you go in the Windows store and you download the Halo Forge,
Windows 10.
It's the level creator for Halo on the Xbox One, But it does have multiplayer, but there's no matchmaking. I couldn't find any way to find a lobby or anything. It was just like, I'm in a lobby, there's 4 player slots or whatever, invite your friends. Okay, but there's no like, here's a list of games that are going on or find me a game or anything like that. So apparently their idea was, people have been clamoring for, I wish that I could edit Halo levels on the PC instead of the console. So this was their solution to that.
Interesting solution.
Yeah, I just wish it was the whole damn game. Like, please, just make it the whole damn game. I'll pay you $60 and we'll call it done.
I think this is supposed to be their, like, let's test the waters thing. And that's why it's probably as minimal as it is, because there is the map maker, which makes it easy. And so then it's also like, well, we can put this multiplayer portion in there too to test out the maps that you make, but we're not going to go as far as like give you servers and like the multiplayer like matchmaking stuff. So it's almost like they're saying, if you want it, you really got to want it, and you got to play it, and you got to do it, because they're bringing Halo Wars 2 to the PC, because there's already a thing in that Halo app for the store. I don't know if you saw, but there's like already like a ticker box for where Halo Wars 2 is going to be.
Yeah, I saw that. So how about this? They announced tomorrow, $80. You get the entire Halo Legacy collection, right?
Every Halo game?
Whatever. Every Halo game, $80 on PC.
I'd buy it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not 5, because they're still selling at full price at $60, right? So 1 through 4, right?
Does that include Reach and ODST?
Yeah.
I'd buy it in a heartbeat.
Yep, as would I. And playing this Halo 5 thing on the PC, God, it feels good. Like, it never felt that good on the console. Never felt that good.
It surprisingly, to be honest with you, dude, it feels like the original Halo 1 on the PC. Except for it looks like the new Call of Duty, but it feels like old school Halo on the PC, which is good because old school Halo on the PC actually played well.
Yeah. Hey, so Halo 2 on the PC, which was the last Halo that came out on the PC, is that still runnable? Can you find it somewhere and get it to run? Because I knew it had to be like you had to have what, like God, that crappy operating system.
So you had to have Vista originally to play it, because you couldn't have Windows XP. So you could have Vista. You had to have it was kind of like what they're doing now. Like, if you want to play any of the new stuff, you have to get Windows 10. So it was like that with Halo 2. Here's the problem that Halo 2 has. It was a bad port.
Okay.
Like I found a copy of it online. To test this out because I wanted to see if you could still play Halo 2, the PC version on the PC, and the optimization was just god awful. Now there might be somebody out there that has an optimized version of of Halo 2 that you can probably play. I don't know where. Like somebody did a whole optimization thing for SWAT 4. You can play SWAT 4 right now on Windows 10 because people out there are cool. But if there's a community that has Halo 2 that is playable on the PC, please let me know because I would like to play it because Halo 2 is probably my favorite of the trilogy.
Well, I just found Halo 1 on PC with working multiplayer apparently.
Yeah, it's
And
like the
Halo
original.
2.
It's like the original Unreal for PC. Like, there's just people that still play that, and they're like, as soon as you spawn in, they're sniping you.
Gee, that sucks.
Here's something
Yeah,
else that I don't know if you guys are aware of that I wanted to bring up since it's a PC, it's gaming, it's cool. But the PlayStation Now stuff is for the PC, and
Mhm.
they have it's like a bunch of PlayStation 3 games that you stream to your computer, and they have a 7-day free trial that I'm thinking about trying out. But here's the freaking weird thing: their subscription for a month is $20.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I mean, they have for 3 months. You can get it for $45 for 3 months, which is like $15 a month, kind of a thing, kind of like an
Wouldn't it
MMO.
wouldn't it
But
be
that's
bitchin' if you were just a PlayStation Plus member and you got it? And then it's like PlayStation Plus, if you own the game, you can stream it to your PC.
it'd be nice.
Uh-huh.
It makes sense. You know, I
But
mean,
see,
the
this is like the
PS
test, right? This ushers in for like fifth generation of consoles will be what's that box that you got, Brian, that sits out on the TV? The Steam whatever.
Steam Link, yeah.
Yeah, Steam Link. So the next Sony PlayStation will be a Steam Link. That's all
I
it'll
mean,
be.
it's
It'll be
possible
a USB
because,
port and a modem.
dude, it's highly possible considering that Microsoft is finally like pushing for gaming on Windows again. I mean, did you guys see the Gears of War 4 trailer?
Nope.
Jesus, that
Did
looks
not.
amazing. And it's coming to Windows 10.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's interesting. Is it
well,
going to
they
be one of
did.
the ones that's got crossplay as well? If you buy it one place, you play it both places.
Yes, and it's going to have split screen capability for the PC, which is interesting because as of right now, I have the Nvidia Shield console, which I can stream all of my PC gaming into the living room. And the other weekend, my buddy came to visit. My buddy Donnie came to visit, and we actually played Portal 2 streaming off my PC because Portal 2 supports local co-op on the PC.
Oh wow, I didn't know
Split
that.
So
screen,
that's
and
kind
so
of cool.
we were able to stream that to my with like zero lag to my living room projector.
So what about this? Will it let you play if you're in the same LAN? Could one person be on the PC and one person be on the actual console? And see, that's the thing. That would be the right, because then you could sit out there with your laptop and you could both be in the same game.
See,
Except,
that's the problem because the main machine is doing all the horsepower. So when I'm actually streaming into there, it's actually on this screen. I just have the
oh
monitor
yeah, yeah,
turned off. So
yeah, it's
anyway,
unfortunate. But the thing is, like the PlayStation stuff, it's actually rendering it in the cloud, right? It's not. It's like if you subscribe to their $20 a month service, they spin a server up on that's running a PlayStation emulator.
yeah, which I'd really like to understand how that technology works because all the gaming streaming services that I've ever tried have just not been that great. But
Can you imagine what would happen if that emulator leaked online?
All I want, really, guys, is Midnight Club Los Angeles on my PC. That's really all I fucking want. I mean, I don't know why that's so hard to ask. And if PlayStation was it now, they got that, I might do it.
Do you need the dub edition or just standard?
No, that's Midnight Club 3 you're thinking of. And Midnight Club Los Angeles is amazing. Like, so good. Like, they nailed Los Angeles. They really did. Like,
Yeah, that
holy
was the
shit.
game that I couldn't find because we hid it on top of the clock in the hallway. Because when my nephews were here, they were so obsessed with it that I had to hide the disc. And then we found it like a couple years later because it
Oh
was like, where the hell
no!
did it go?
Oh no!
But yes, it honestly, man, like driving around in that game, it's like I've been to LA and it's like, hey, I know that place. You know, it's
Exactly.
like they got it like right on. Like this,
Oh,
the names of
spot on.
things are changed, but if it's there, it's really there.
Yeah, they nailed it. It's so impressive, and it's actually a fun race. On top of that,
Yeah. Hey,
now
speaking of LA and cars and stuff, have you played any more
yeah,
GTA 5?
not much, not
No.
really. I don't know
Uh,
why. It's not that I don't like it. It's that I don't know. It's like I like the kind of gritty guerrilla warfare of a game like Homefront
yeah,
more. You know,
yeah,
like
but Hunter and I are crime bosses now. See, we have our own office, and you can take a helicopter to the roof like you're Dillinger and Tron.
Hey,
I wish my
did you see the mod, the realistic mod that came out, like the Halo 5 redone that just changes everything?
no GTA 5. You mean?
Yeah,
Well,
I said Halo.
put a link.
GTA 5 looks amazing with this new mod, but the downside is you can't use it multiplayer unless you have a hacked server.
Yeah. So what's going on with that hack server project? Is it
Well,
are they still
we'll
carrying
talk
on?
off screen.
Okay. Well, I didn't mean like our personal one because there isn't one. I just meant like, you know, the
Well,
team
there's
doing it.
they're still developing it. Yeah, I mean you can download their server and their client. Essentially, you have to own a legit copy of the game, and then what it does is it pulls certain files out of the legit copy, and it makes it so that you connect to like an IP address version of the online server. But the thing is, though, is if you want to run your own, you have to like run scripts on it to make it run like a legit server. So like you have to like custom do all these scripts just to make things spawn right, just to be able to make your own character, to do the money system, the missions,
Yeah. So
like
they
the
have
whole
to
thing. So
reverse engineer like all the
well,
things that happen.
it's not necessarily a reverse engineering. It's just like the server that they released is a base server, and if you want to do any of the others, so like you can like spawn in it and like steal a car and just drive around, but there's nothing else you can do. You can't make any money. You can't do any of the CEO stuff, but it's all there. It's not like turned on, so you actually have to use these scripts that like call for the files to like do the stuff, and so that's not in the server that you download. You have to actually like write the scripts yourself to do it. Tedious.
jeez.
Yeah. But you know, someone will do it, and then they'll pass it around, and then we'll all have.
There's a community. You can find it. There's a community.
Yeah,
Well,
I honestly, I just wish that Rockstar would embrace that shit, you know, and just be like, hey, if you're gonna run your own private servers, that's great because you bought the game from us, and we don't give a shit. The only problem is that
But
you're not buying shark cards from them.
right, and
And
that's exactly how they make their money now is shark cards.
yeah, which is ridiculous. Okay, so somebody did the math on
And
the shark card shit.
all the free stuff too, because every time they come out with like a new patch or an update or some new like game feature, it's free.
Yeah, it's free, but it costs a shit ton of in-game currency that you would be okay. So a guy figured out to grind out $3 million to get a yacht, right? He figured out that it's 60 hours of grinding if you do continuous grind at like the normal payouts for missions and stuff. The only way you could actually make money a lot faster would be if you do the whatever that challenge is where you have to do all the heists in order, nobody dies once, right? It's like what, 5 heists and there's 4 missions per, so you have to do like 20 hours of content with nobody getting shot, and then everybody gets like $1 million.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, and you only get $1 million. It's like, okay, you ground for 20 hours if you were perfect for $1 million, or you can pull your shark card out and it's what, $10 per million or something like that is the exchange rate, some crap. So in order to buy a yacht, you're $30 in, right? Which is why people are desperate to find money glitches and stuff for this game. If you go search for like GTA 5 money glitch or whatever, and the current patch number, there's like a 1,000 YouTube videos that are all bullshit, you know. But it'll be like some kid showing you this obscure weird thing that he did, where it's like, okay, you park the car here, and then you climb up on top of this air conditioner, and then you stand on the building and you take a picture of that sign over there, and then you set a waypoint here. And I'm watching this kid do this for like, I don't know, 45 minutes or something, and then he ended up with like, I think like 1.4 million or something. The glitch was legit, right? But it's just like, wow, I couldn't even take notes fast enough, and there's no way I'm going to do that. But it's like, how the hell did you figure this out? Like all this weird shit that you have to do. How did anybody put that together? It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Like people have crazy ass amounts of time to be able to figure out all these glitches. And here's like one for you too. Like I was thinking about this the other day, calling back to EVE Online, is I've been doing these things called incursions in EVE, right? And incursions are PvE events that you do with other players. And so you form up a fleet and you go into these events and you kill all the bad guys and you destroy the tower at the end. And when you've blown up the tower, you get like a 35 million ISK payout. And then like 10% of that goes to your corporation or whatever your corporate tax is, right? So since I am the CEO of my own corporation in the game, like I get all the tax money as well. So it's just like I get all that 35 million. But the thing is though, is these guys that run these fleets like 24/7 throughout all of New Eden, they have like the system down. They're like, okay, we're gonna go into this room. The close quarters combat guys are gonna hit these guys. The snipers are gonna hit these guys, and then the lodges are gonna keep them up. And then once you're done with that, you're gonna go into the next room, and then you're gonna kill these guys, but leave all these other guys alive, and then just blow up the tower. And it's just like, well, why don't we want to shoot those other guys? Well, if you kill some of those other guys, they'll spawn in new NPCs that we have to deal with. So they like know, like someone's come up with like which ones to kill, which ones not to kill, to like run the rooms like the fastest to get the most money out of it. And I'm just like, who like originally figured out like the things to shoot and kill, like just trial and error, but like the formula for that just amazes me. Hello?
Sorry.
Yep.
I honestly don't know what you guys are talking about.
Oh, he's talking about the incursion mission stuff. So, yeah.
Anyway, let's wrap it up.
Man.
Let's wrap it up. So, folks, I think I'm going to do some Homefront on Thursday, and then we'll probably arrange a ship in a week or two. Let's do that. I'll get a copy, and then we'll do that in a week or two once we make sure we get 4 people. Does that sound good?
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah, you know what we ought to play is Guns of Icarus, really. But
if we're going to do Guns of Icarus,
Yeah,
either wait for the expansion to come out, or we have to have at least 8 people to do like a ship versus a ship or something like that. Like we need to make that a community event.
Agreed. But so folks, next week on the show, last programming note, we're having an early show because we're talking to the folks who are making Dual Universe, that kind of exciting Minecraft-y, EVE Online-y MMO thing they're currently kickstarting right now. They are currently kickstarting it, right? I'm remembering that correctly.
Yes,
right?
they are.
Yeah. So we're going to talk to them. It's going to be an early morning show because they're in Paris or somewhere. They're somewhere overseas. They're somewhere over there. So I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. to talk to them. It's going to be great. And what else going on? Oh, by the way, last thing. I'll include a link in the show notes, but there's a campaign right now that you can buy Space Game Junkie branded socks. Tube socks. Crew socks. And the proceeds will go toward making Space Game Junkie even better, like maybe getting a thing where I can capture console games so I can finally do...
We're going to make Space Game Junkie great again.
Oh, God, don't you... Oh.
What about the thong, dude? You totally ignored the Woo thong.
I didn't ignore it. I outright disregarded it. I heard you. I just said no mentally. I just rejected the idea. Anyway, folks, that was a great show, you guys. So thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week. Good night.